MA LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, here we go with the only show that talks about bullshit, balls, and all kinds of mixture of things as you first start off first thing in the morning here. Yes, we are broadcasting live from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM. And then we are hanging out with our friends and colleagues that like to eat some sushi.
Tearing the ass out of you like gas station sushi.
Oh, yes, hanging out with our friends at Radio Big, so don't worry about that. So, yes, I am so happy to be back in the studio. Listen, don't get me wrong. I had all kinds of fun times at the Safety Tube Practical Application Conference that we were hanging out last week. But there is something about studio sound that, makes me a little bit happier when it comes to the whole things of what we talk about. I have to tell you, fun times last week. Hanging out with the safety pros, doing some stuff, hanging out with some people in the medical field, hanging out with some people in the safety field, hanging out with some people that I had never met before, which is always important as we get to do that. I have to tell you, the number one thing that probably freaked me out about last week, if I have to, talk about this, is people telling me on how we were linked on LinkedIn. And if I recognize them and different things like that, listen, I have to tell you, there are some people out there that they must have had a standee to take their profile picture because it does not match. I wouldn't have recognized them if my life depended on it. That's how serious some things were that were out there. So sorry about that if I didn't recognize you. I guess the oddest one that I had that occurred, well, when you go to some of these conferences, they have the public restroom scenario, so that's kind of some fun stuff. I saw some dude inside of the bathroom, no big deal, because there's multiple guys. I start to walk out of the bathroom. The guy's waiting for me outside the bathroom and said, "Hey, I wanted to shake your hand." Well, listen, I don't know about you, but after I have finished using the bathroom and washing my hands and drying them, or at least the attempt of drying them, I know that they're not 100% dry. It just doesn't work out for that the way that I kind of do it. And I wanted to shake your hand. I was going to do it in there, but we were in the bathroom. Well, good idea. And then he says who he is. And that was it. And then there was a weird pause. Like, I think that there was some expectation by name reference that I was supposed to know who the person was. Unfortunately, I'm very terrible with names. I really am. I just the way that it goes. I didn't know how to react to that. And then my next question was, "Hey, are you having dinner tonight?" Because what do you say during an awkward social interaction besides, "Hey, are you doing something?" Because let's just get out of this. The person said yes, and we were able to move on our merry way. But we'll talk about some strange things that do occur. I know you're not. When you talk to people that are, professional safety people, they never go into the oddities of some of the things that occurs because you have all this awkwardness of certain things that happen. And listen, I don't know everyone. I really don't. I mean, it's great to be able to interact with people, but I just don't know a lot of people when it's all said and done. I lock myself up inside of a room and talk. That's kind of how it goes. So familiarity with people is not probably the strongest suit. I know. Should I say those things out loud? But what does it matter? Anyway, so we're back. We're back in the studio. That's the important part as we are talking all kinds of fun times last week. No joking there as I do say that. So let's talk real quick because I think there has been some confusion We are a show that talks about safety. We are a show that does safety in the news and safety. We talk about some things related to safety. We talk some things related about the news because, listen, you need an entry point before you go in and just start yabber-dabbering about what the hell you have going on inside of your workplace, inside of the things that you want to change inside of the world and all that kind of fun stuff. So I try to give you topical news, will be a little bit pop culture-y if need be. That way you can actually get something out there as you are trying to applaud about what the hell is going on. So let's think about it in that particular perspective. So with that being said, let's start off right away with what the hell was trending inside of the world of the news.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so taking a look from the very top, or matter of fact, I didn't say it. Did I say that it was Monday, January the 16th of 2023, day 16th of the year, and only 3:49 to go? Because if I didn't, it's important to say these things because I know how we tend to forget. By the way, we're live in real time. If you want to look at us and what the hell we have going on, you can do that by going to Call In. Well, no, that's a lie. You go to Call In Radio to interact with the show. If you want to see what we have going on, you can go to safetyfm.com or you can go to radiobig.fm and click on the section that says visual radio. I would give you a strong recommendation. Don't put yourself through that kind of torture. There is no need for it. We're also on the social media aspects of the world, too. If you want to go out there and hang out and take a look at what the hell's going on there, you can do that. So let's talk about what was trending. John Legend and Chrissy Teigen had a baby. They're fourth, so there you go. We can talk a little bit more about that, but I doubt that I will. President Joe Biden is in the thick for the full-blown scandal of the White House. Admitted more confidential documents were found in his private library in Delaware last week. So I have a question about that because I'm kind of confused. So you had some confidential documents inside of your household. How does somebody just randomly find these inside of your house? Like, is it your house cleaner? Does somebody come by to, take a look at what the hell you have inside of your house? I have a lot of questions about that, and I've had some questions about that for some time. So maybe that's something that I'll ask some more about that. Also, more details about the tragic early death of Lisa Marie Presley. We can talk about that here in just one bit. What else do I see around there? Taking a look around, comedian Andy Dick was arrested outside of Los Angeles on Friday, and Kevin Spacey was formally entered a not guilty plea for sexual assault charges in the United Kingdom. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a bit. So there you go. So if you're not familiar with how we do this, like I said, safety in the news and safety, we do bring some professional broadcasters in, and they sure as hell know a lot more than I do, so you don't have to worry about that. They will tell you exactly what's going on. We try to bring you the news as live as possible because, listen, when we're doing this thing, it is 7 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. So as I am getting the news in real sequence, I bring that to you. So there you go. There you go. That's how that works. So we'll do that. I'll come back. We'll go back and forth. You can come out, hang out on Call In Radio. We'll take a look at what's going on over there. You can give me some stuff that's what's happening inside of the world of the multiverse. And then we go from there. It's kind of some fun stuff. In regards of doing that. This is hour one of a 3-hour show, just in case. This is the Rated R Safety Show segment. Hour 2 and 3 consists of Jay Allen in the morning, just in case you're wondering. And we still got a lot of stuff to talk about. So don't worry. Let's start taking a look at what the hell was going on inside of the world of the news.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. Another surge of Pacific moisture is expected to wallop California this morning. This after the storm-battered state saw more rain and gusty winds over the weekend. Some parts of California have gotten more rain in the past 2 weeks than all of last year. At least 19 people have been killed as a result. The White House has approved California's request for a major disaster declaration after Governor Gavin Newsom's office put the request in. More from Ryan Baker.
Newsom says the storms have taken a toll on the state.
By some estimates, $22 to $25 trillion gallons of water have fallen over the course of the last 16, 17 days.
The major disaster declaration helps Californians impacted by the storms and makes federal funding available to individuals and businesses in Merced, Sacramento, and Santa Cruz counties.
Former Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein is drawing a stark line between classified documents investigations of President Biden and former President Trump.
You have to differentiate between the political consequences and the practical consequences for the special counsel.
Appearing on NBC's Meet the Press, he noted the special counsel in each case will reach their own conclusions without being influenced by political pressure. He also dismissed the suggestion these investigations are like two car wrecks where one is an accident and the other is on purpose. Rosenstein went on to stress the importance of waiting to hear the facts before jumping to any conclusions. An Ohio man believed to be one of the last surviving Tuskegee Airmen has died. Trey Thomas with more.
The family of Harold Brown shared word of his passing on social media late last week. Brown spent 2 months as a prisoner of war after his plane was shot down in German territory during World War II. In 2007, President George W. Bush and members of Congress presented Brown and the rest of the pioneering African-American aviators known as the Tuskegee Airmen with a Congressional Gold Medal.
Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Julia Chapman. Germany's defense minister has resigned after only being in the job for just over a year. Nepal's government has put together a panel to investigate the plane crash that killed at least 68 people on Sunday. And a proposed change in the law in the UK could allow police to intervene in protests before they become too disruptive.
Safety never sounded so terrible.
Rated R Safety Show.
The annual World Economic Forum is getting underway in Davos, Switzerland. Organizers are expecting an estimated 2,700 leaders from 130 countries to be on hand. That's in addition to hundreds of high-profile public figures. The conference runs through the 20th. The CDC and the FDA are looking into concerns that the Pfizer COVID vaccine can cause strokes in those 65 and older. Scott Carr reports.
The CDC notes that overall data suggests it's very unlikely there's a true clinical risk. The agencies use a safety monitoring system that identified a preliminary signal that they found important to share with the public while they continue to evaluate data. Dr. Anthony Fauci says Americans need to keep getting vaccinated while the CDC reviews the data.
The chances are 3 or more times less likely that you'll be hospitalized if you get infected, if in fact you have the bivalent booster as opposed to those who did not get the booster.
The concern has not been identified with Moderna's bivalent shot, and both agencies continue to recommend that everyone 6 months and older stay up to date with their COVID vaccinations. I'm Scott Carr.
A Nebraska GOP congressman says if he were in New York Representative George Santos' position, he'd resign.
I wouldn't be able to face my voters after having gone through that.
Appearing on ABC's This Week, Representative Don Bacon went on to say that while this was ultimately an issue between Santos and his constituents, he doesn't think his chances of re-election will be that promising. Santos has been in hot water since the election after he admitted to fabricating much of his background. Spotify says As It Was by Harry Styles was the platform's most streamed song of 2022. The track was the first and only glimpse fans got of his latest album, Harry's House, prior to its release. Billboard reports it amassed 1.5 billion plays throughout the year. The U.S. stock and bond markets are closed in observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show
On Safety FM.
Do you have a claim and not sure where to turn? Coastal Claim Consultants are professionally licensed and bonded public insurance adjusters employed exclusively by you, the policyholder, to represent you after sustaining an insured loss. They assist policyholders in all aspects of processing the claim, working closely with the insured to provide the most equitable and timely settlement possible. They will provide you with comprehensive service, anything from inspecting the loss site, analyzing damages, compiling claim support data, reviewing applicable coverages, assessing replacement costs of damages, and negotiating your settlement. The adjusters at Coastal Claim Consultants will evaluate your claim for no upfront cost whatsoever. Coastal Claim Consultants' fee is based on contingency contracts and are paid when the insurance company sends you a check and it's in your possession. Coastal Claim Consultants are licensed to assist you in the following states: Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and South Carolina. For more information, go to coastal-cc.com. That's coastal-cc.com. For more information, lighting the way to recovery. Coastal Claim Consultants.
Olivia from Washington. Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that mommy and daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire.
So do you feel like you're missing out on what everyone is starting to do now, that live streaming thing, and you don't know where to start or what to do? I have the resource and the information to provide to you in regards on how you can stream onto 40 social media platforms all at one time. Yes, that's 40 social media platforms all at one time. All you'll need to do is go to safetyfm.com/1. That's safetyfm.com/1. That's ONE. So just in case, and you'll be able to start live streaming just like you're hearing people starting to do right now, up to 40 social media platforms.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
Yeah, you're listening to something magical, all right. I got some magic for you. So let's start doing and moving and grooving. It is currently 18 minutes. Yes, make that 18 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this fantastic, it's a fantastic Monday. I'm really excited about being back in the studio. I don't know why, but I really am. Because there you go. I just guess that's what happens. Anyway, so let's continue talking about some other stuff that is going on inside of the world. In September of 2021, JP Morgan Chase bought a website that helped college students find financial aid for $175 million. Late last week, the bank announced that the service, simply called Frank, would be shut down. So, oops, when JP Morgan bought Frank, and founder, a woman named Charlie Javes, said that more than 4 million students had created accounts on the platform, and it turns out that Javes appeared to have invented almost all of those 4 million accounts. In a fraud lawsuit, JP Morgan alleges that when it tried to send a marketing email batch to about 400,000 of those accounts, about 70 of them bounced back. As unbelievable that sounds. By contrast, a typical marketing campaign of the size would only have about 1% bounce back rate. So, oopsies. But wait, there's more. As part of the acquisition, Javis apparently became an employee at JP Morgan as the company's head of student solution. She was axed earlier last year during an initial investigation of the apparently fraudulent data. Now she is countersuing, claiming that she was only fired so that the bank could avoid paying her $20 million bonus payment. Her lawyer is calling her a whistleblower. So there you go. I don't know. So who's her lawyer? The same guy who represented Elon Musk last year when he sued Twitter, arguing that the platform had inflated its numbers as active users. So there you go. So there you go. I mean, I don't know. You have to start taking a look at some of this stuff and go, okay, what's going to make the most logical sense when it comes to certain aspects? Because listen, I don't know. I don't know what the hell's going on out there. I look at it and I go, there is some strange things that are happening when it comes to tech stuff. It definitely looks at that as we are talking. Anyways, in other douchebaggery adjacent news, the arena where the Miami Heat play was formerly removed as FTX names as a sponsor and will just be called the Miami-Dade Arena until someone else shells out for the naming rights. So there you go. I know there was some big porn company that was trying to purchase the name, and that's not a joke as I say that. They were trying to buy it. I guess that was a no-go. I believe that the name of the company was called Bang Bros. I mean, I'm just saying what the name of the company is. I mean, don't hold it against me. It's not my doing.
Duh.
So there you go. Let's talk some other things. FTX pledged $135 million for 19 years of naming rights deal. So we'll see what happens there. Also, meanwhile, at Twitter, a federal judge has ruled against 5 former Twitter employees who were laid off as part of Elon Musk's takeover, saying that they can't create a class action lawsuit against Musk for terminating their jobs without adequate notice. So, just want to make sure they cannot. No puedo, mi amigo. That's the way that it works. So there you go, some stuff going on there. Worth noting, they can file a suit, but individually, not as a class. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I don't think that this was over yet. If we're calling a spady a 80, that is for sure. What do you think about it as we are talking, or do you look at it and go, "Oh, no, it's over"? I don't think it's over. I really don't. Anyways, the Dallas Zoo closed temporarily on Friday after park officials could not locate a clouded leopard. The big cat named Nova was fortunately found before the end of the day and rescued, or should I say rescued, or should I say resecured? However you want to take a look at it, into its habitat. An initial investigation indicates that the enclosure was intentionally breached by a human who used some sort of cutting tool to open it in the fencing of the Nova's habitat. The similar cut was later found in the enclosure housing on some of the monkeys. Through some of them were accounted for and unharmed. I mean, I don't know. Why the hell would you want to release the monkeys and let some people know what the hell is going on over there? Because that's going to be some of the interesting portion of the equation. Anyways, take a listen to this. Archaeologists have found a previously undiscovered 3,500-year-old tomb in Luxor, Egypt. The country's Supreme Council of Antiquities announced that they found this on Saturday, which they said dates back all the way to the 18th dynasty. A period of prosperity in ancient Egypt. Researchers guess that the tomb is the resting place of the female royal, possibly a pharaoh's wife or a daughter, but note that the tomb is in poor condition. They believe that the ancient floods washed away the wall inscription art. So there you go. That'll make it some interesting times as we are talking. There is no doubt about that. What do you think, inking here as we are talking about this? Anyway, take a listen to this. The software snafu that grounded all air traffic in the country last week has been chalked up to human error. Oh, go figure. Human error. What a doubt. So there you go. This is according to the FAA reports. An official statement blames the personnel who failed to follow procedures and damaged the database files, suggesting that the outage was not a cyber attack. You know, I have to tell you, with all this information that we keep on hearing, it's not a cyber attack, it's not a cyber attack, it's not a cyber attack, you almost start thinking, is it a cyber attack?
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, it's not a cyber attack. Okay, an American woman who won Miss Universe pageant on Saturday, Arboni Gabriel beat our finalists from Venezuela and Dominican Republic to take the crown. This was the first pageant run under the ownership of Anne Jenkinfrong, whatever, and I can't say the name, is a trans woman and a business mogul who bought the pageant along with the Miss USA and Miss Teen USA for $20 million last October. Listen, I'm going to talk about this because I think it's going to be one of those weird things to reference. But I am still amazed that in this day and age of 2023, we are still having pageants like this. Because it's amazing. I mean, think about it. Think about everything that we've talked about over the last few years, and we are still having pageants that are related to this theme. I mean, you would think that normally that would not be the case, but I guess I am still looking at some things in the odd way. But think about this. You are rating women based on how good looking they are. I don't know. Seems a little wishy-washy to me if I'm going to have to call a spade because of everything that we've tried to move forward from over the last few years. I'm just saying, just throwing that out there. Anyways, let's talk about the charts real quick. Here's what was going down in the movie theaters over the weekend. At number 9 was Whitney Houston was I Want to Dance with Somebody with $1.1 million. At number 8 was The Whale with $1.4 million. At number 7, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, $2.1 million. At number 6 was House Party at $3.8 million. At number 5 was Plane with $10 million. And number 4, A Man Called Otto with $12.5 million. And number 3, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish with $13.4 million. And number 2 was Megan with $17.9 million. I want to see that movie, but for some reason I had recently heard there's an unrated version of that, which that horror movie seems pretty well. I'll take a look at it when that one comes out. And then at the number 1 spot still, Avatar, The Way of the Water, $31.1 million. That's what's going on inside of the world of the charts. So as we are going to do this, let's get into some number sequences of events and talk about what the hell was going on inside of the world of the market. Let's bring some John Smalls inside of here to do so.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Friday, September 9th, 2022. The S&P 500 wobbled Thursday, but managed to end the day higher despite hawkish commentary from the FOMC. FOMC Chief Jerome Powell reiterated once again the committee's commitment to fighting inflation and bringing it back down to the 2% range. Based on the recent string of inflation data, this means a high probability for another 75 basis point hike, making this the most aggressive FOMC on record. Next week, the market will face its final hurdle before September FOMC meeting. The CPI report is due out Wednesday and may show a month-to-month decline in inflation due to lower gas prices. But the core year-over-year figures are expected to remain hot. This data will support another rate hike, if not a 75 basis point hike, so there is a chance for the market volatility. Weak data better than expected or strong data worse than expected will move the market. You can get the inside track from Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, thanks, John Smalls, for the information. By the way, if you ever want to take a listen to what the hell John has going on, him and his wife have a show that runs between 2 p.m. Eastern Time and 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Radio Big. Yes, great time hanging out with what the hell they have going on. Anyways, let's talk a little bit about the report of what was going on. The Dow added about 112 points to close at 34,302 on Friday. The S&P added about 15 points to close at 3,999. And NASDAQ added about 78 points to close at 11,079. West Texas Intermediate closed just shy of $80, while Brent crude closed at $85. The national average of the price of a gallon of gas was $3.30 as of yesterday. Bitcoin soared over the weekend, and it was well over $20,000 for the first time since the news broke of FTX collapse back in November. It was trading near $20,900 on Sunday evening. And take a listen to this. There was about 2,690 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Sunday, with about 120 cancellations. So the delays are high, the cancellations are low in comparison to what we've normally been seeing. So I guess that will be a good thing. And then here's what we've decided to do. We're going to just compile this section inside of here because we're talking about numbers. So let's do this. A winning Mega Million dollar ticket for the $1.35 billion jackpot was drawn in Maine on Friday, January the 13th. Tuesday night's drawing will be for $20 million or a $10.7 million jackpot. Tonight's Powerball drawing will be for $416 million jackpot or a $224.9 million cash payout. So I guess if you want to play the game, It's time to do so. That is for sure. Anyways, I hope you are off to having a fantastic lunes. And yes, it is a celebratory lunes as we are talking, so don't worry about that. Let's see what's going on inside of the world of the news. Take a listen to this. The FAA is investigating a near-miss incident involving 2 passenger planes at JFK in New York City. NBC's Kathy Park has the latest on the scary moments on Friday.
Was hurt in the incident, but the Delta flight returned to the gate where 145 passengers and 6 crew members deplaned.
Delta Flight 1493 was taken off from the runway and was forced to stop midway because the American Airlines place crossing the same runway. The FAA released a statement saying that they came within approximately thousands of feet within each other. A terrifying potential collision was avoided after air traffic controller alerted both flights. Delta called the incident successful aborted takeoff procedure and said that a full review was underway. Delta flight passengers Brian Healy experienced a close call.
Split second of panic that resulted in this audible reaction on the plane. I felt then adrenaline, and there was total quiet on the plane, and then there was relief when the plane came to a stop.
NBC's news aviation analyst Captain John Cox says that this incident can happen occasionally, but asked for the important question for the FAA's investigation.
Where was the miscommunication between the American crew and the air traffic controllers? The Delta crew was doing everything they were told to do.
Okay, so there you go. That's going to be some good questions, and it is 32 minutes past the top of the hour. So guess where, well, that's a lie. It's 31 minutes past the top of the hour, but at the 32 mark, we normally do this. So guess what I'm going to do now, because I'm going to pretend that it's 32. So here we go, 32 mark. Let's do our main story, because I think that we got something here that we should be talking about.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so let's talk about it because I think this is going to be important. Listen to some of the news stories that are coming out. Okay, so now we're talking about stuff related to, number one, non-cyber attacks with the system going down last week with the air traffic controls, with all the planes and all that. So that's not the case. Then we have this conversation going on right now with a potential collision that almost happened between an American airline and a Delta airline. And listen, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. We can say, let's do an investigation. Let's talk about some of the risks that were out there. Let's talk about some of the different aspects that were taking place at the time. And that's kind of the interesting point of what we talk about around here. When we start talking about incidents and investigations and policies and procedures and safeguards, these are the things that we need to make sure that we have a full understanding of. Listen, incident investigations, accident investigations, depending on who you talk to, good, bad, or indifferent. But it's always something that has to be done. It's just kind of part of what happens. Listen, I understand that some people go, well, that's boring. It's some of the stuff that you can't really change anything after it happened. Okay, I get it. Makes sense. But we have to understand, too, that safeguards have to be put in place. So if you don't know what safeguards were there prior, how do you know what to do for the future? And one can sit here and have a pretty interesting argument as we go forward with it. But think about this incident in particular. You have to almost have a few people in play here. You have the pilot and the co-pilot from the American Airlines plane. You have the pilot and the co-pilot from the Delta airplane. And then you have the people in traffic control. And listen, I don't know who was doing the interactions here, where, and there. And everything that you can say is Monday night or Monday morning quarterbacking speculations and all that kind of fun stuff, because that's what it boils down to at this particular point. But when you start taking a look around, you have to ask the one important question here. Were there safeguards in place to stop this from happening? And if you're looking around and listening to what is occurring, yes. The answer is yes. Now the question becomes this. Was it a single operator dependent system that if the operator failed to do X, everything would have been a catastrophe? Think about that. Was it a single operator dependent system that it would have been a catastrophe if they wouldn't have done X. Because that is where the biggest issue is. If that is part of this particular case, if that is part of what was going on, then we have a bigger problem. That's what we need to be looking at. And listen, yes, the great thing about safeguards is that's exactly what they are. They're safeguards to prevent stuff. Like a friend of mine told me a long time ago, if you're driving down a road and you see a guardrail that's damaged, that definitely means that is not a guardrail that you want to remove from that particular aspect. You might want to replace it with something prettier, newer, bump free, but it's something that you definitely don't want to remove because it is serving its purpose. And sometimes we tend to forget that inside of the systems that we have. And listen, we can sit here and harp and brag and talk and move and groove about Delta did this, American Airlines did this, traffic controller did that, and that's good and bad or indifferent depending on how you want to take a look at it. But think about this today. Or think about this whatever day you're taking a listen to this on, because I know that we do some of the podcast version of this. Do you have a single operator dependent system or even an operator dependent system that it's between them and the catastrophe? That's the only safeguard that's there, because if you do, you have a major failure in your system. You have a major failure waiting to occur inside of your system. Seriously. Because it doesn't become if, but when. Seriously, think about it. And not that I'm saying that all systems are perfect. We know that we're going to have problems. But think about it from the aspect of if you have a single operator system on how that is going to work. An operator depending system. And how is that going to work? That's what I want you to think about today. Give that some thought, because I think it will take you places that you did not expect. Anyways, you know how that goes. What the hell do I know that I'm talking about, right?
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
And we're live here outside the Perez family home, just waiting for the... And there they go. Almost on time this morning. Mom is coming out the front door strong with a double-arm kid carry. Looks like Dad has the bags. Daughter is bringing up the rear. Oh, but the diaper bag wasn't closed. Diapers and toys are everywhere. Ooh, but Mom has just nailed the perfect car seat buckle for the toddler. And now the eldest daughter, who looks to be about 9 or 10, has secured herself in the booster seat. Dad zips the bag closed, and they're off. But looks like Mom doesn't realize her coffee cup is still on the roof of the car. And there it goes. Oh, that's a shame. That mug was a fam favorite.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Just nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Learn more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Look through your children's eyes to see the true magic of a forest. It's a storybook world for them. You look and see a tree. They see the wrinkled face of a wizard with arms outstretched to the sky. They see treasure in pebbles. They see a windy path that could lead to adventure. And they see you, their fearless guide through this fascinating world.
Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobilemobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io.
mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Warning. Listening to other radio stations could cause testicle shrinkage.
I'm talking truth.
There you go, 42 minutes past the top of the hour. This is the Rated R Safety Show. And I am your host. I know. Still coming to you from the Safety FM studios in Orlando. This right here is I Can See the Light by John Rush. Songs readily available on Spotify and iTunes. If you want to give it a download-zy, and we can get it moving and grooving. I'd like to say thanks to John Rush for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. Okay, so let's get you into the move and the groove of the things that we have going on, because I think it's important to talk about everything that's going on this lovely Monday. Yes, this lovely Monday as we are doing the stuff around. But I have to tell you right now about the most important thing that I will tell you at any point in my lifetime, and that's about my friends at the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. They can help you to prevent suicide. The Lifeline provides 24/7 free and confidential support for people in distress, prevention, and crisis resources for you and loved ones, and the best practices for professionals in the United States. All you have to do to find out more information is go to 988lifeline.org. That's 988lifeline.org, or call 988 or text the word TALK to 988. That will get everything moving and grooving for you as you are taking a look around at all the interesting stuff. What else do we have? What else do we have going on? Because we need to talk real quick about what is going on inside of the world of the multiverse, because that's what we do around here. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So let's talk about shooting the bull. Shooting the bull real quick. Sunday scaries. Maybe we should talk about that. We all know the rotten feeling one continue that you're enjoying that lazy afternoon doing approximately nothing, and the next you're hit with the uneasy feeling of the pit in your stomach, that an increasing sense of the dread that just an hour ticks away because it's becoming Monday. It's called the Sunday scaries. And when you consider that more than a quarter of us have a harder time falling asleep on Sunday nights, and 73% of workers regularly lose out on rest due to worrisome thoughts about their job, there must be something that you can do about it, right? Well, Mr. Bell out of the Georgia-based therapist says that you should ask yourself about what are some of the intentional things you can do to place on Monday morning that will set the tone of your week. Maybe having an extra hour in the morning. I don't know if that's a 25-hour day. Or to stop and to get your favorite breakfast. Maybe a journaling in the morning. Whatever self-care activities look like for you, social workers and owner of the Transformational Counseling Service, Pia Johnson believes that aside of self-care and setting positive interactions for the upcoming week, it is essential that you reevaluate your job. Yeah, I did say reevaluate your job. The Sunday scaries may be clear sign that this is not the job role or company for you. If you find that you have done all you can and symptoms do not become more manageable, she suggests seeking out a therapist that can assist you out on the journey. So, nope, if you had kids like mine, you'd be more than likely be familiar with the Friday frights when you realize that you have to be with them for the next for 24/7 for the next 2 days. I only get the scaries like that when I get my the income tax time comes around. That's when it actually comes about. But in all seriousness, as we are talking about this, if you do struggle taking a look around on a Sunday night and you go, you get all this worrisome stuff, maybe it is not the job for you. Listen, I'll tell you, I had a job that it was all right. I mean, it wasn't the greatest job. I liked the job to an extent, but I traveled all the time, and then I stopped traveling, and then I was stuck inside of an office for a long period of time. And listen, I need to let the bird go. I mean, I can't handle being in an office 24/7. This is not for me. And if it was a non-traveling week, I hated going to that place. I mean, I hated it with a passion because it was a lot of corporate bullshit that ended up taking place inside of there, and I didn't like the job. It's really what it boiled down to. And one day I got a phone call that somebody said, hey, listen, I need your help doing some, we'll say some conference-style stuff. And I said, hey, we're going to call it a day. We called it a day from the job and left. And went from there. And that's the way that this kind of whole thing kind of was born out of it. And now we're having all kinds of fun. At least I feel like we're having all kinds of fun. Or maybe I'm just losing my mind.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so taking a look around still, we got some new stuff that we can share with you as I am taking a look. Did you hear about this one? Some residents at the remote canyon northeast of Ohio Valley are refusing to follow the evacuation orders. Daniel Martindale has some info.
Last week, a Ventura County rescue helicopter has flown in and out of the canyon more than 10 times and evacuated 70 residents. The residents who choose to stay behind are trapped after flooding, mudslides, and rock slides blocked the only road in and out of the area. County officials estimate it will take at least 3 weeks to clear just one lane of the roadway, but that timeline also depends on not getting another storm for a while, too. Those who evacuate their homes in Matiliha Canyon are offered free lodging, meals, and rides to motels. I'm Daniel Martindale.
Okay, thank you, Daniel Martindale, for that. So interesting times. Would you want to leave the area or do you want to stay with your home because it's important? I mean, I don't know. Take a listen to this. A new bill would allow chief in Virginia to impose a curfew. Rebecca Hughes explains.
Senate Minority Leader Tommy Norment says the new law would allow a locality's governing body to hold a special meeting to enact an emergency ordinance or measures during civil unrest that would allow the top law enforcement officer in the area to order a curfew that doesn't last longer than a full day but can be extended. WAVY reports the exceptions would include travel for medical personnel, the military, the press, workers and employees responding to emergencies, people traveling to work, home, medical care, a place of worship, and more. If the measure passes, anyone caught violating the temporary curfew could face a Class 1 misdemeanor, which carries up to a year in jail and a $2,500 fine. I'm Rebecca Hughes.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca, for that information right there. So that's when you start asking the question coming from Marilyn Manson, do you love your guns, gods, and government? Because that would be a very interesting scenario on how that will work. More incidents with weapons at the airport keep TSA agents are busy. Rebecca Hughes has more.
Man faces a fine for carrying a loaded gun into Dulles Airport. Transportation Security Administration agents stopped the unidentified man after noticing his loaded handgun inside his carry-on bag Thursday at Dulles International Airport. TSA officials notified the Metropolitan Washington Airport's Authority Police, who confiscated the gun and cited the man on a weapons charge, according to WTOP. Agents say the 9mm gun was loaded with 2 bullets, and the owner claims he forgot to remove it before his flight. I'm Rebecca Hughes.
I mean, that has to be pretty interesting, especially if it's a carry-on. I mean, think about that for a moment. It's like, what the freak is going on? There is no doubt about that as we are talking. Anyways, take a listen to this. A Georgia football player in recruiting staff members are dead after they were involved in a car crash on early Sunday. A woman who lives near the scene describes the aftermath.
Line, they hit a light pole, and then they hit the tree, and then they hit the building. Like, I don't even, and then they ended up behind the car. I can't even say how they would have gotten into that position.
Yeah, I would imagine investigators will say that. But anyways, the school confirmed that Devin Wilcox and Chandler Leroy were killed. Police say that Wilcox, a 20-year-old offensive lineman on the team, died at the scene. The 24-year-old LaCroix, who was driving, was hospitalized, but later died as a result of the injuries. 2 other passengers were injured. The crash came hours after the Bulldogs celebrated their national championship win with a parade ceremony in Athens. Georgia Senator Warnock remarked about the death of UGA football player Devin Wilcox and recruiter Chandler Leroy on Sunday.
We're saddened to hear that death and grief has visited the University of Georgia football team. We lift these families in prayer. We pray for our city. We pray for our state.
So, yes, it's definitely one of those things that you hate to hear about what the hell is going on outside of there. That is for sure, as we are hanging out and talking. Anyways, take a listen to this real quick. Lots of places are closed today as the national honors the slain civil rights leader Dr. Martin Luther King on the national holiday. Trey Thomas has more information.
Day on Wall Street, with both the stock and bond markets closed for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Schools and government offices are also closed today. The U.S. Postal Service is also not delivering mail. I'm Trey Thomas.
Just another reason that the Postal Service needed not to deliver mail. I mean, I guess that's kind of the way that it goes. Anyways, currently 52 minutes past the top of the hour. Let's go ahead and get you into the Motivation Minute because, we need some motivation in our life, so let's do that now.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by Ty. Sam Levinson said, "Don't watch the clock. Do what it does. Keep going." I love that. I've never really been a clock watcher, but my wife and I started our own company in 2010. When we brought on a team of people, we had this guy who would pull up into the parking lot a little bit before 8 a.m. He would sit in his car until exactly 8. Then, towards the end of the day, he would tidy up his office starting at about 4:45, and he'd walk out at exactly 5 p.m. I told him, "You don't need to worry about the time. I come in early and I leave late." And he said, "Yeah, but you own the company." Then I replied, "That's why we own the company." I did that for others my entire career, and eventually that led to my family doing our own thing. Don't be a clock watcher. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Another pitfall of our society. Rated R Safety Show.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by AlysaMorgan.com. If one of your goals includes increasing muscle mass, there are a few things that seem to work well across the board and are scientifically supported. One important nutrient to have in your system for optimal muscle growth is salt. It's imperative because nerve cells communicate with muscles via electricity, and ions from sodium is what enhances this communication. Salt, potassium, and magnesium are essential to have in one's system during the period of muscle gain. Also, creatine. Based on 66 studies, it has been shown to enhance the result of workouts, and it carries cognitive benefits due to its impact on neurons. Creatine increases your body's ability to hydrate, and it has also been shown to reduce fatigue. As always, please remember to consult with your physician before starting any supplements. For more, check out AlysaMorgan.com.
Who truly cares what this guy has to say? Who gives a shit? Rated R Safety Show.
That's my feelings exactly about it. Oh, hold on. What are we talking about there? Anyways, taking a look around, currently 54 minutes past the top of the hour as we are talking. Anyways, if you did not know about this, we have this coming up in the very, very, very near future, and that's our Safety Differently workshop that is taking place in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Would love to see you there. Would love for you to come out, hang out, and do the fun stuff that we get to do together. All you have to do to find out more information is go to safetyfm.com. safetyfm.io. That's safetyfm.io to find out some more information of what exactly is going on right there. What will happen is we have a 4-day workshop taking place over there. And that will get you moving and grooving through the whole thing. And we can have some fun times together, discuss the world of human and organizational performance as we are doing all the fun stuff that we are doing right there. Love to see you there. Come hang out with us to find out more. Like I said, safetyfm.io, taking place March the 6th, starting on March the 6th. You choose your journey on how you want to do it. So that's some stuff to take a look at as we are talking. What else do we have going? What else? Taking a look around here, taking a look around there. Let's take a look some more before I get you the hell out of here. Let's take a look at some things that happened back on this date and taking a look around. It looks like on this date, this is the following that did occur. But should I give you a year? Maybe a year would be important for us to talk about this. Let's see. Back in 1991, the United Nations deadlines for Iraq to remove invading forces from Kuwait comes and goes. Saddam Hussein had until midnight of January the 16th of 1991 to retreat from Kuwait. Just after midnight, President Bush authorized Operation Desert Storm that led by General Norman. Major fighting would end by March 3rd when Iraq general formally surrendered. That happened back in 1991. If you're looking at some birthdays to celebrate for today, I'm going to give you some of those. Let's see. Joe Flacco turns 38. Kate Moss, 49. And A.G. Foyt turns 88. John Carpenter, yes, from Halloween fame, turns 75 today. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, I have some of those for you. It's Brew Monday, National Queen Dog Day, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Idaho Human Rights Day, National Good Teen Day, International Hot and Spicy Food Day, National Appreciate a Dragon Day, National Religious Freedom Day, and Blue Monday, and last but not least, National Nothing Day. So let's celebrate nothing because it seems like a good idea to do so. Anyways, at the top of the hour, I'll be going over to RadioBig.fm if you want to come and hang out for the next couple hours or so as we're doing our thing over there on that side of the equation. If you need a phone starter for today, try this. What is the weirdest pizza topping you've ever experienced? People put pretty much anything on them, but what was one that you actually have tried and was like, whoa, this is different? If you need something for the water cooler, here, try this. The average person does this 12 and a half minutes each day. What is it? Scroll through their phone at bedtime. So there you go, some things to think about. Anyways, thanks for hanging out, doing the things that you do. You are the most important part of Safety FM and Radio Big. Without you, it would make no sense of doing what we do. So I'm in the studio today. Pretty happy about being here. There is no doubt about that. We'll be live for the next couple hours, like I said, at RadioBig.fm if you want to come over there. You can take a listen on TuneIn Radio or iHeartRadio. Yes, that is the live aspects. Or you can even just go to the RadioBig.fm website, and that will get you moving over there. If I can't leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this. People do not decide to become extraordinary. They decide to accomplish extraordinary things. Think about that today because it's going to be important. I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. I love you. Take care. Goodbye. Come hang out. We'll do some things. If not, I will see you mañana.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.